Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about Tag Heuer. Now Tag Heuer is quite divisive, I find, amongst watch enthusiasts, and although there's plenty of people that love the brand, there's lots that are put off by the quite steep retail prices in their stores and also some of the designs. Now I can't help with the designs, but how about the pricing? Well, today's video is all about where I think the best value is in Tag Heuer, and that is in the secondary market. I've got two watches today. One of them I'm borrowing off a friend. It's a few years old. It will be nice to see how a used Tag Heuer holds up under a lot of abuse. And the second one is specifically for sale. And I think for the price, it's a hell of a lot of watch, and it really reinforces my point. So, I won't cover the history of Tag Heuer today. I've already covered that in my Formula 1 video. I'll link that in the description if you want to go and check it out. But for now, let's get stuck into two used Tag Heuer watches. Let's go. So here we are today then with two 44mm Tag Heuer chronographs. And this isn't a full review because I don't have time for that with these watches. The first one we'll take a look at today is going to be the newer one. So this is about 3 years old, this watch, and it has been abused, to levels way above what most watch enthusiasts would do. And I don't mean this to discredit my friend Fraser. He is relatively heavy-handed, let's just say, and this is a daily wear, and it definitely hasn't had any love. It's been expected to do a job, to tell the time, and to deal with the rigors of daily life, and that's what it's done. So this is the Cazz 2012, that's the reference number, and the current price on these, I had a look on Tag Heuer's Canada website earlier, it's $5,100 for this exact version with the stainless steel and the ceramic center links. So I think it's one of the most, if not the most expensive in the Formula 1 range, which is supposed to be effectively Tag Heuer's entry level range. So yeah, definitely not much for an entry-level price, but I thought it would be fun to see how this watch is getting on after so much torment. And actually, it's doing very well. So, of course, with a piece like this that's been a daily wear for multiple years, there is all of the usual scratches that you would expect. The bottom of the clasp, particularly affected. Although it's heavily scratched, there's nothing particularly deep on this clasp, so it's held out remarkably well. And yeah, you could easily rebrush this and make it look pretty respectable again. The older Formula 1s, yes, that is right, there is no milled inner clasp, although the newer ones, which you may have seen on my video, if you saw the one that I purchased last year, that did have the milled inner on the clasp. So they have changed that now at Tag, which is a good thing to see. Yeah, they're big, particularly these ones at 44mm, but in general, Tag watches do have quite a substantial weight, the stainless steel ones anyway, and that's my experience. There's a reassuring weight behind them. It makes you feel like you've bought something of Swiss quality, which of course there's all kinds of caveats to that, but fundamentally it feels high quality, and that's a really good experience to have, especially if it is one of your first dips into the Swiss luxury watch market. You're not going to be disappointed with how the tags feel. As I said, this watch is a 44mm, but an interesting dimension on this, the thickness is 15mm, which is thick. There's no way of getting around that. The movements inside these are caliber 16. That's either Valjoux ETA 7750 base or Sellita SW 500. Either way, as an automatic chronograph movement, there is no getting away from the thickness. 15mm is chunky, but at least with the 44 diameter, it's kind of in proportion. Looking a bit closer on the dial, with this and with the caliber 16 movement, what have you got here? Well, at the top, you have a 30-minute subdial for counting. On the left-hand side is the running seconds, and at the 6 o'clock is an hour counter, I think up to 12 hours. So you could run the chronograph and effectively for up to 12 hours and 59 minutes before that hour counter would reset, and you'd kind of lose your timing. This one is on a ceramic bezel. So again, the ceramics hold up really nicely. Fraser has managed to put some scratches in it, but he hasn't managed to crack it yet, so that is a bonus. And something I've always liked about the Formula One range, especially in this grey colour variant, which is similar to my freehander, is the accents of red. Those combination of red accents, I think, make it a really nice looking piece. It's sporty, but it definitely retains some elegance as well. And if you haven't had a mechanical chronograph before, it's a satisfying click to start it. It feels like an occasion, and same with the pause and the reset there, and you'll see it just jump back. I really like these. The biggest critique is that if you're buying Tag new and you end up wanting to sell it, which is basically me, they depreciate so quickly. I mean, I got a 20% discount on mine and still ended up losing quite a bit when I came to sell it, and it was pretty much mint. They just don't hold their value, which is not the point of collecting. But if you're going to spend a lot of money and you tend to be somebody who doesn't hold on to things like myself, just how much can I afford to lose if I end up wanting to sell it? And that's where I want to explore more Tag Heuer, but I know I'm probably going to sell things on, so the used market is great for people like me. And here you go, just to drive home my point, here's a reasonably clean example of this exact watch, and it's less than half of the price of going out and buying it brand new. So with the way that the world is today, with the challenges around living costs and salaries not really going up and high inflation, as much as I hate talking about finances when it comes to watches, for me, with Tag Heuer, buying used really does seem to be a no-brainer. I'd like to caveat the video today with a very quick point, and that is that although we're talking about finances with watches today, I don't buy watches to make a profit. I don't care about investments. It's my hobby, it's my interest, it's my passion. It's just that when you do happen to buy and sell a lot of watches, trying not to make such a big loss is kind of important, because it helps give you money to reinvest, and that's where I'm coming from with Tag Heuer and trying to get the experience through the used market. If you're super keen on a brand new watch and you know that no matter what you're not going to sell it, so depreciation doesn't matter, then don't let me put you off buying new watches. It's really just an explanation of what works best for me, but for you it might well be different. And of course, the used market only exists because people go out and buy new watches. And on another note, if you're enjoying today's video, please don't hesitate to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, hit that bell notification icon wherever it is down there, so that you'll see when I upload in future. Anyway, back to Tag Heuer. So let me bring in this piece. So this is also a 44mm Tag Heuer chronograph. This one is quite a bit older, so this would be circa 2005, maybe a little bit later. And this one's actually for sale. So this is my friend's dad's watch, who you've just seen the son's there. And yeah, he's keen on watches, maybe not as crazy as some of us, but certainly enjoys his watches. And I think this one just doesn't get as much wrist time anymore. So he's asked me to help him with selling it, and I wanted to show it on the channel before I list it up. And this is also a 44mm. But there is some differences with this. The movement is sold as the same, the caliber 16. I think originally this would have been a non-Selita in this watch. I reckon this was probably one of the ETAs. I'm not sure if they had started using the Selitas in mid-2000s. So if anyone knows, let me know in the comments. This one is actually an Aqua Racer rather than a Formula One. So it's effectively Tag Heuer's next tier up in automatic watches. And for that, you get 300 meters of water resistant. If you take a look at the bracelet and the clasp, you'll see even back quite a few years ago, this came with the milled clasp, so it was a differentiator that Tag Heuer put in. The bracelet itself is very nice actually. I think it suits the watch well. This is not a 21.5mm lug width, this is 21, so logic still applied to Tag back in the day before they went a little bit crazy on the lug widths. This one has had a subtle polish for sure. You can still see some of the marks underneath of where there would have been deep scratches, but since this one has been serviced and repaired, I'll tell you about that in a second, it looks like it's had a small polish just on the center links, but it looks very presentable actually. Being a black chronograph, this one maintains all of its versatility, that's for sure. So Yeah, I think there's a lot of value here. Effectively, this is a fully Swiss-made watch from a very established name in Tag Heuer, with great build quality, a lot of heft, but the feeling of something that is Swiss engineered for 1,500 Canadian bucks. That's pretty much the going rate for one in this kind of condition, sort of used but very presentable and very honest. And talking of honesty, I mentioned this one had a repair. So this watch had a new movement in 2022 through Goldsmiths, a UK-based Tag Heuer authorized dealer. If you are interested in buying this watch, you can look them up and I can show you the receipts. They're very reputable. But actually, this had a new movement because the crown was left open and the watch was submerged in a swimming pool. And unfortunately, with the crown open and the dynamic pressures that come from being in a swimming pool and the water moving around, there was water ingress, and effectively the previous movement was a write-off and the watch had to be fully stripped, new movement, rebuilt and re-pressure checked and reassembled professionally at Goldsmiths, and that cost £1,400 sterling UK in Scotland at the time. So the watch is now with me here in Canada. If you are interested, you can find my contact details on the YouTube channel. Just click on the About tab and then you can reveal an email address and contact me there. But for 1,500 Canadian, I just think it's hard to argue with what you're getting here. And it's not just the automatic chronographs with Tag Heuer. Going on Chrono24, especially looking at Japanese dealers, but looking all over, there's so many good prices, and same with eBay. You know, whether you're looking quartz, automatic, anything across the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s, the pricing is so good. If you're looking for a more affordable way in to, say, luxury Swiss watches, and you would like to buy from a reputable brand and perhaps have a brand name that means a little bit more to you than you would get with a micro brand, then I think you can't really go wrong with Tag Heuer. Generally, my experience has always been they have very few QC issues out of the factory, unlike some of the other Swiss brands. And yeah, depreciation aside, there's not too much I can really fault them for. Obviously, looks are always subjective, so maybe you don't like them. Let me know in the comments on that. I do think Tag are still refining their products, and I think in recent years they have made strides, especially in the Formula One range. They make some really nice stuff there, which I don't always think was the case. But yeah, I've got a lot of time for Tag, and I think it's pretty common in watch community circles to sort of hate on Tag, and I'm not really sure why. I've only ever had positive experiences with them myself. People seem to hold on to them quite a lot for many years. The watches have great QC. Yes, they do seem wildly overpriced in the retail stores, but you know, you're talking about a brick and mortar retail store. Every AD that's selling products out of their retail stores branded with their own name is really expensive. I mean, that's just how the luxury watch industry is. That's why I'm telling you, if you want a little shortcut to that, have a look at used Tag. There's great bargains, not just this one. By all means, have a look around, see what you can find on Chrono. I just think it's a bit of an untapped gold mine, and something that is probably a good thing that people are hating on it, because it's keeping the prices down. And for people like me who really enjoy Tag Heuer, that's a great thing. But anyway, I need to put this one back in the box before I'm tempted to buy it myself. I've got far too many watches, I really don't need another one. But both of these watches are lovely looking things. So in conclusion, I think Tag Heuer is a really interesting brand to explore in the used market. And of course, there's a couple of points to add, which is the Monaco tends to hold value very well, so you're not going to find mega discounts on Monacos and perhaps some of the other more highly desirable models. And secondly, where I live in the world, generally I get taxed 5% on goods that are imported here, so if I was to buy from abroad, it would be that plus some delivery fees. If you're in Europe, you might end up with a 20% tax plus the fees as well, so it might cut down the discount for dealers in Japan, but you might find good deals also locally to you in Europe. That's why I suggest, like I said in the video, have a look around, check the places where you would buy watches, whether that's eBay, Chrono24, Facebook Marketplace, maybe a bit more sketchy, and see what you can find. But yes, I think it's great value in Tag Heuer. Let me know in the comments What is it that you feel about Tag Heuer? Would you buy them used? Would you only buy new? Or do you really have no interest in Tag Heuer whatsoever? I try to reply to as many comments as I can, and I thank you so much for making it this far into the video. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on the next video. See you then. Cheers.